Did you know there are 12 Orishas that represent each zodiac sign?
The Orisha that represents Taurus is who people call the most beautiful West African deity. She is the goddess of fresh water, sensuality and purity, Oshun.
Like Oshun, who is known as the most beautiful female Orisha, Tauruses are often regarded as the most attractive and sensual of the zodiac children.
There is no task or challenge that will beat a Taurus. They can be very resilient and patient people. These traits are similar to Oshun, who is described as the protector, savior, and nurturer of humanity.
Tauruses take pride in their appearance and possessions, which often look and feel opulent, similar to Oshun, who is usually dressed in golden clothes, beads, and jewelry.
Much like Oshun, who teaches us the power in self-love and confidence, the desirable and soothing energy of Tauruses lend them to be great partners who are down to earth and comfortable to be around.
This is our painting of Oshun.
The vivacious, sensual, energetic Orisha. She represents the house of Taurus.
If you're a Taurus, then this video is for you. If not, then comment your star sign below and stay tuned for more.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Okay, we got a lot to get into, but I had to open up with that because, you know, I'm always trying to give big Taurus energy. Ew. Child. You know what? We got to take my notes in reverse because, hold on, I wasn't expecting, as you can see, wasn't expecting what had happened. Oh, darling, let's. The house is in shambles. Okay, it's in shambles. I'm trying to laugh through it because we are lacking, like I said last night, so many things, and the house needs to come together. We need order so we can move forward. Okay, so there was no House floor vote today. Scalise, I'm going from the top of the day to what happened right before I went live. Okay, so Scalise was still 20 votes shy of victory, and this is about a day and a half of us knowing, you know, officially that he threw his hat in the ring in 24 hours after he received the closed door nomination. There was a closed door meeting earlier today that lasted hours, but it didn't close any of the many divides within the GOP caucus. There was a new meeting around 7:30 this evening. Reports say that it was hastily put together. Now, before I get into what happened in that meeting, Representative Mike Rogers called the 8 that voted to oust McCarthy traitors and wonders if the GOP will ever get the 217 votes needed for anyone to become speaker. And honey, child, Scalise came up out of that meeting and was like, nope, I don't want this anymore. Get somebody else to do it. He officially withdrew his name. Now, are the conspiracy theories already going wild? Yes, because every time somebody pulls out of something, everybody's like, oh, they know the secrets. What secrets does Scalise has? Okay, he is one of those, you know, everything where he stands. He puts nothing in the closet. Okay, he called himself Diet David Duke. This man, I don't know if y'all remember when they were having like little practice for the Congressional Baseball League, he was the one that was one of the people that was shot and almost lost his life, but still wants no gun control. The man is battling blood cancer and is still the heat miser. He don't have no secret. It's not a secret. Nobody could come together, and they're doing it like individually. It's not like separate caucuses coming together going, hey, we want this. Hey, we want that. It's not even the different branches of the GOP, like the moderates and the conservatives coming going, hey, if you can guarantee this, we'll come together. No, all 221 of them are wanting individual things, forgetting that they're the neck of the United States government. We are at a standstill. We can't do anything, and the world is in shambles. There are positions that are vacant that need to be filled. There are budgets that need money in them so that we are protected here, let alone everything globally that needs to be taking place. And they're supposed to be working on the budget right now. That 45-day extension, we're yeah, they can't get it together. And at this point, like I said, it is tradition, nothing more, nothing less, that the party with the majority is the party that the speaker is pulled from. Constitutional wise, y'all quit playing. Democrats walk on across the hall and tell the Republicans enough of the shenanigans. Per the Constitution, this is what we're putting in. The House floor vote is on this day at this time. Bada bing, bada boom. This is what we're going to do. Now, I said there's so much. I got notes everywhere. Now, y'all remember the one little Trump attorney that's trying to do her best Melania Trump impression that screwed up the whole reason why Trump is complaining now about not having a jury trial for his fraud case in New York? Well, coming from Newsweek, Trump lawyer handed victory by judge. An attorney for Donald Trump has been vindicated after being previously accused of not checking a legal box to allow a jury to determine a trial's outcome. Alina Habba, a Trump ally who has represented him in various instances as his legal battles have accumulated, was widely chastised and claimed not to have requested a jury trial as part of New York Attorney General Letitia James's $250 million civil fraud lawsuit against the former president, his adult sons, and the Trump organization. But New York Judge Arthur Engoron, who is overseeing the trial and said at its inception that nobody asked for a jury trial, amended his comments during Wednesday's proceedings. I believe what happened here is that James clearly checked off non-jury, Engoron said, according to the Messenger's Adam Klasfeld. Trump's legal team never requested a jury trial. Engoron added that a checked box as a part of a request from Trump's legal team for a jury trial wouldn't have mattered anyway because the relief was equitable. First of all, Ms. Habba is a bumbling idiot because she's the one that screws stuff up on Fox Entertainment News for Trump regarding another case. But whatever. Engoron, if you want to split hairs, go ahead and split hairs. But we know Trump is not firing that one. Okay? She might be the next Mrs. Trump. Okay? The way she keeps showing up and showing out for him, and doing her best Melania impression and making him feel like big man on the playground, and the way he keeps making bedroom eyes at her, it don't matter, okay? He got other plans for her. He's trying to do what he was quoted as saying on Access Hollywood. He trying to grab her by the cootie cats, okay? He wants her to touch his badussy. Allegedly. 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 Now, I should not get so much entertainment from this, but I do. Coming from The Hill, Kushner says Schumer told family friends he was going to jail. And you are, Kushner. You are. This is just the beginning. People keep forgetting that, especially with the Department of Justice and with any criminal trial. When multiple people are involved and you start getting into the nitty gritty and stuff starts coming out, more indictments can come out, more arrests can happen. Jared Kushner, the son-in-law and ex-advisor to former President Trump, said Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat out of New York, told his mother's friends he was going to jail for his involvement in the 2016 election and alleged ties with Russia. My poor mom, I told her to stop. You know, reading whatever I said. I promise you, we didn't do anything wrong. It's good. First of all, your daddy already went to prison, honey. Your mama knows when the writing is on the wall, okay? She reads it. She reads it. She been on this ride before, okay? She been at this rodeo, okay? She's been at this Grand Prix and lost her money. She's not listening to you. Okay. She's reading the writing on the wall, and she's listening to the people involved with the committees where you going down. But okay. Kushner said on Lex Fridman podcast, but she called me, say, well, our friends were on the Upper East Side. We're talking with Chuck Schumer, who says Jared's going to jail. Kushner, who is married to Trump's daughter Ivanka, has pushed back on reports that he sought to establish a back channel line of communication between Russia and the Trump campaign ahead of the 2016 election. Kushner attended a now infamous meeting with Donald Trump Jr., former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, and a woman described as a Russian government lawyer offering dirt on Hillary Clinton. While the report from special counsel Robert Mueller found sweeping and systemic Russian interference in the 2016 election, it did not find evidence that anyone on Trump's campaign was complicit in those efforts. Yeah, that was Mueller. Mueller investigated a lot of things that have now resulted in indictments. So you're going to jail. And we know because Trump has yet to say anything disparaging about Ivanka. And remember, Ivanka sat on the board just like her father and her brothers at Trump.org. Ivanka's on the witness list, but Ivanka is not a co-defendant. We've already seen how Junior has been willing and has thrown Eric under the bus. And we know Senior will throw everybody under the bus except for Ivanka. So whatever Jared's involvement was, if it comes down to they about to come and put cuffs on Ivanka, bet you Trump starts singing in. Bet you by golly wow he does. Now, here's something that may shock you a little bit. And this is some unusual people that are willing to vote for Biden. Take a look.
Is there any chance you would stay at home on Election Day?
No. I love American democracy too much that Biden and Trump, if it's a Biden and Trump race, then I would vote for Biden even if he was dead.
No chance I'd stay home. I've never.
And I'm a Republican. And Trump is, forgive my French, an ass. And we don't need that kind of person running our country.
Michael, do you know who you would vote for if there were a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump?
I feel pretty confident that I know. I am confident that I know.
You would vote for President Biden?
Yeah, and it would sort of like Al mentioned, it would not be a happy or proud vote. It would be the lesser of the two evils.
Scott, do you know who you would vote for?
If Biden versus Trump, yes, I'd vote for Biden, for sure.
And would you do so with enthusiasm?
No.
Why?
I like Al, I share concerns about age. It's just a fact. I think he is still capable. He seems to have the vitality to continue to do the job well, but at 88 years old, just the inherent risk. I just feel that Trump has disqualified himself from office because of his behavior from the election through January 6th onward, and would never vote for him.
And even with them saying that with their vote, they would switch sides, so to speak. You see how they're still trying to hold on to that. Please don't call me a rhino. I really am still a Republican because he's the lesser of two evils. What's the other evil? What's the other evil? But this is coming from the Associated Press. Banker says Trump's financial statements were key to loan approvals, but there were sanity checks. Donald Trump obtained hundreds of millions of dollars in loans using financial statements that a court has since deemed fraudulent, a retired bank official testified Wednesday as the former president's New York civil fraud trial. Trump's statements of financial conditions were key to his approval for $125 million loan in 2011 for his golf resort in Doral, Florida, and a $107 million loan in 2012 for his Chicago hotel and condo skyscraper. Former Deutsche Bank risk management officer Nicholas Heitz testified. But although the bank didn't conduct its own full appraisals of Trump's properties, it sometimes gave sizable haircuts to the values he'd place on such holdings as Trump Tower and his golf courses, Hayes said. I think the phrase we used might have been sanity checks on the numbers, he said. Those numbers helped Trump secure bigger loans and lower interest rates, said Hay, who headed the risk group for the bank's private wealth management unit from 2008 to 2018. Now, given that Trump was so egregious, and here's the thing, how he convinced professionals with lengthy experience in these fields to lie. He didn't just lie about the appraisal values, which I'm like, how did you do this with no official paperwork? But I guess we'll find out as this trial progresses. But he also, remember, we went over it, he lied about the square footage. He lied about what was on deeds that are public record. And like some of the measurements he gave for square footage, I'm like, now I've been to New York, I've visited New York, I've stayed with friends and family who live in and around New York. And I'm like, okay, I've never purchased property or rented property in New York, but I'm like, where would this square footage fit in New York? Like, this don't make no sense. This, where is it at? Where is it at? Is that the whole building? And when I found out how he got his condo appraised and the square footage, he said, sir, the people that you make fun of, the working class and the small business owners, you were living just like them. Because y'all do know in Trump Tower, there are other businesses in there. And Trump Org is located. He was living above his business. He wants to make fun of the restaurant owner that lives above the restaurant or the baker that he was doing the same thing on basically Section 8 property. This is why I say, stop taking financial advice from the wealthy. They live off of government assistance way more than anybody else. That's why they try to talk you and shame you out of it, because the less resources we utilize as the general public that our tax dollars pay into, the more they can tell Congress to cut and give over to them. Cha. Now, let's move on to George Santos. Yes, here we go. Now, George Santos has vowed to fight the new indictment that brings his indictment count up to 23. But New York freshman lawmakers contend that this second set of indictments makes him unfit to serve. Wednesday, they introduced an expulsion resolution, and they say that this is, and I quote, the most provable case of election fraud that we have before us. Keep in mind, a 2/3 vote is required from the entire House, and this is a rare move. It would also further complicate the GOP's slim majority. Santos claims that an expulsion would overturn the will of the voters. Honey, you defrauded the voters. Who they thought they were voting for is not who they got. And evidently, nobody really wanted you on the ballot. That's why you had to cook the books in order to get on the ballot. Santos has also been ignoring questions regarding his chance of surviving an expulsion. And Hunty Chow, he is part of the reason why we may never get a Speaker of the House, or at least one this Republican. I don't know. Because take a look at this. Take a look and get ready to clutch your pearls.
Something tells me the pressure is getting to our boy here. So George Santos I've reached out numerous times to Scalise, and me reaching out and asking him for his guidance and leadership and him not getting back out, that's dereliction of duty. He went on a full rant. So yeah, watch this video, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
Talk to us about your Never Scalise. Yeah, it's Never Scalise. At this point, we're going to have to find someone else in leadership that comes forward that's going to be a compromise candidate. But as for me, it's never for Scalise. He didn't call you? No, it's not because he didn't call me. It's because if you're in leadership, there's 222 members of your party, 221 now. You talk to everybody. I've reached out numerous times to Congressman Scalise, and me reaching out and asking him for guidance in his leadership and him not reaching back out, that's a dereliction of his duty as a leader. So I'm not voting for somebody who lacks fundamental leadership skills. I don't know. I don't care, quite frankly. How is it It was a waste of time at every single meeting we had.
So part of me wonders if Scalise never reached back out to Santos because of all the legal shit that Santos is dealing with. Scalise didn't want to dirty his hands like McCarthy did. Remember, McCarthy knew about the vetting process and the stuff that had been found, and he chose to ignore it because they really needed that vote. And now all of that comes with federal charges. And George Santos is melting down. He's losing it. He is not going to be able to hold it together. I guarantee we're going to see more and more outbursts like this from him. It's that Republican rage. Like, they get it and they muckle onto it and they grow it and they enjoy it. So I think that's where we're at with Santos.
McCarthy wasn't concerned about a lead or anything like that. McCarthy didn't care because the House GOP caucus is riddled with criminality and corruption to the point where the GOP has been investigating its own, Matt Gaetz. They even shushed Marjorie Taylor Greene twice this year. Because remember, when McCarthy was ousted, we got the Speaker pro temp. Did y'all forget that a couple months back, McCarthy named MTG his second? She was also removed from, I believe, a couple of caucuses. Like, she started going off the rein. McCarthy didn't care. And because Santos wants to hold on to his seat by any means necessary, because he has that lame brain Trump mentality of, I never learned anything in school and I'm just going to go over my fantastical rendition of how the government works. He believes that if he stays in government, although he's been indicted while a member of government, that he won't have to pay the piper. So Santos will go along with whoever that will, keep him in there. But instead of looking at the bigger picture, once again, the GOP is looking at themselves. But what do you expect? This is their plan.
We are going to take power after this next election. And when we do, it's going to be the days of Jim Jordan,
President Trump, the leader of the Republican Party,
and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Q is a patriot.
And Dr. Gosar.
The DOJ is harassing peaceful patriots.
And myself. An armed rebellion against the government. The notion that Republicans are going to take control of the House and we're going to hold hands in the warm spring rain with the Democrats and legislate is ludicrous.
And just like every group, every clique that comes together with ill intent, they're not even loyal to each other anymore. They won't even back each other anymore. They're now backfighting and stabbing each other in the back. But you hear it's not about the people. It's we're not going to work with the Democrats. We got to be better than the Democrats. But the 8 worked with the Democrats to oust McCarthy. But their thing is, hey, don't work with the Democrats. This is for the country. This is not a World Series of baseball. This is not the NBA Finals. This is not the Super Bowl. This is not the World Cup. This should be what's best for the people that voted me in to represent them, not on the libs, do better than the Democrats. What the fuck? This is why there's no urgency to get a balanced budget. There's no urgency to get these people promoted and get other military personnel that have been in limbo to where they need to go. Because there are families with kids that are like, oh, we were supposed to move. Oops, we didn't register them again for this school year. Let's scramble to try to get them in. That's not always easy. There's not always spaces for these kids. We have no ambassador to Israel right now. And quite honestly, side note, we may need moderators for government. Because I cannot believe our defense secretary did a whole press conference and let it slip that he got emotional over deep fake propaganda that was shown to him. I digress. They're not about to drive my pressure up today. No. And speaking of misinformation and disinformation, there has been a coordinated disinformation campaign going on Twitter, now X. There have been 67 accounts, some of which are verified accounts, which we know you have to pay for that, but still, some people still just look for the blue check mark and think that that means that your information is reputable. Some accounts started to be suspended once news outlets began contacting the company. No official comment has been given to the company outside of that back and forth tweet fest that I read to y'all last night from Elon Musk. Old videos, video game footage, and flat out lies are being posted on the social media platform. The disinformation isn't currently being removed, just simply a disclaimer is being placed under the post. There has even been a fake presidential proclamation that has been shared all over Twitter and other social media platforms. This is going to be one hellfire election with this disinformation due to 2 wars at this point and an immigration crisis due to the previous legislation of the United States. This is going to be a shit show. And due to decreased and proper moderation across all social media platforms, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And I want to say this in particular. Given that Congress has brought in for hearings the heads of certain social media platforms, you would think they would be more diligent. Now, getting live human moderators was a good idea, but not vetting the moderators was absolutely stupid, because on certain social media platforms, you can tell that they are extremely right-leaning. People are getting community guidelines violations for comments that are not egregious. They're just not right-wing. Comments are being filtered that are complimenting and praising people for putting forth good information. Comments are getting filtered and people are not seeing them. Comments are being deleted, and not by the user receiving or giving it, for giving somebody a compliment, praising them, trying to uplift their spirits. What the hell? And for those that think that it is a good idea to stress everybody to the brink, it is not. You do not want a nation of people ready to snap, because it's not going to go the way you think. You think that you're going to get this civil war you've been fantasizing about. First of all, you need to go back and see the actual history of the Civil War. Parts of this country still have not recovered from that. And we're how many hundreds of years removed from that? And everybody is not going to join up on your side. You're going to have everybody literally like the GOP is right now. Individual one-on-one fights everywhere. And there's more on Musk. Like I told y'all yesterday, the EU is about to crack down on Musk. But coming from Futurism magazine, Elon Musk is in big trouble over the Israeli-Palestine violence. X is teeming with fake news about the war. As the Israel-Palestine crisis unfolds, a massive barrage of disinformation has hit X, formerly Twitter, and regulators are watching in horror. Manipulated and fake images are widely circulating on the platform, a dire situation compounded by X owner Elon Musk's gutting of the company's workforce, including its content moderation team, following his chaotic takeover last year. Because he didn't want anybody telling him he's wrong. He didn't want anybody telling him he's wrong. Bruh, wasn't nobody watching your content anyway. In an urgent letter addressed to ex-owner Elon Musk, Thierry Breton, the European Commissioner for the Internet Market, accused the platform of enabling the dissemination of illegal content and disinformation in the EU and ordered Musk to file a response within the next 24 hours, ensuring that your systems are effective and report on the crisis measures taken. They ended up having to put the letter on Twitter, if you remember I told you that last night. And he was just like, it's open source. Can y'all just be careful doing it? The EU's recently enacted Digital Service Act requires any platforms with more than 45 million monthly active users to scan for illegal content and take it down as well. Companies can get fined up to 6% of their global turnover if they don't comply with the new rules. And that makes me wonder why now. Is that why Elon Musk now wants to charge for Twitter? Because if he does that, he knows that the vast majority of accounts are going to go away. The only idiots that are going to pay for it are the ones that pay for the blue check mark, which would take him under the threshold. It would take him under the threshold. He could still have his crazy red pill, right-wing Nazi echo chamber. And it's like, why did you could have just went on Clapper or Truth Social for that. Like, if that's what you wanted to do and you wanted to impress Trump, you should have saved Truth Social for him, because they in debt over there. Truth Social be breaking down every couple hours. All right. Yes, they do. Yeah. Now, also regarding this conflict, I'm gonna need Lady Graham to go back to just being a proper Southern lady. Okay, just go back to being a proper Southern lady that likes to go on Grindr during the RNC and make a clap for the young lads. Take a look.
Why isn't media reporting that a sitting U.S. senator just called for war crimes and mass murdering of innocent Palestinian civilians? Watch.
We're in a religious war here. I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do to defend yourself. Level the place.
As a human rights lawyer, let me remind you all just how horrifically illegal this is. This is collective punishment of 2.2 million people. This is specifically forbidden by treaty, both in international and non-international armed conflicts. 2, this is an attack on children. Denying children food, aid, medical care, and other basic necessities is one of the 6 grave violations specifically condemned by the UN Security Council. And 3, this is a disproportionate response, which international humanitarian law Rule 14 specifically forbids. There is no doubt that Hamas has committed horrific war crimes, and for that they should be held accountable. But the response to war crimes cannot be more war crimes. And for Senator Graham to suggest that is a violation of his oath to the Constitution, and is a violation of the rules of international law. This will only perpetuate the cycle of violence and create more death and destruction for civilians. Look, as a human rights lawyer, seeing one civilian killed is one too many. Calling for war crimes is an invitation for more mass murder and mass death. We cannot allow this. As a global community, we must rally and stand united for Jewish civilians and Palestinian civilians to ensure that one more person is killed. The international rule of law must be upheld.
And sadly, Graham forgot you're saying what's said behind closed doors and what's supposed to stay behind closed doors out in public. We know that y'all know what Netanyahu is trying to do. And for those that claim, whether you watch live or you come back and watch it later, that I never criticized Biden. First of all, the GOP never stops doing fuck shit in order for me to criticize him. But here you go. Open your ears. Biden's friendship, combined with his Zionist views, are clouding him. Because Joe Biden is such a devout Zionist, he values his friendship with a tyrant. Who was that tyrant? Netanyahu. Let us not forget. I know I haven't talked about it since May, when the first round, well, no, it was March, when the first round of indictments came out against Trump, and people were like, oh, we can't do that. Nobody else in the world does it. Netanyahu, before this war began, on trial. When I brought you all the information about this collaborative government that they have going on until the end of the war, he didn't go get people who are willing to make peace treaties. He said with his whole chest on TV that he plans on a genocide. I need people to stop hearing Israel and just thinking, God's chosen people, God's chosen people. And hear me clearly. Tyrannical members of the Jewish community and tyrannical cosplayers of the Jewish community, you are not doing the Jewish community a service by saying that questioning Netanyahu and stating that the government should not be wiping out individual people is anti-Semitic. Going after people's jobs and ensuring that lies are continuously perpetrated and told over and over again over news outlets helps no one. And you tyrannical Christians and you tyrannical faux Christians that can't look beyond what your pastor is telling you to think. I wish there were flies in heaven, because I would want to be one when you were turned down at your mythical pearly gates. But I'm not shocked, because too many of y'all have a hard time grasping and accepting actual factual history regarding the United States, and y'all act like Israel and Palestine do not exist until a war breaks out. This shit's been going on for 75 years. Earlier this year, nobody shed a tear. Nobody was pissed off. Nobody was calling for folks to be fired. Nobody was doxing anyone. Nobody was threatening to rape or murder anyone when Israel was fucking up Palestine. Earlier this year, when Trump was in office and Israel was fucking up Palestine. You know, the videos y'all want to use now with that older woman saying, President Trump, stop doing this, stop. She wasn't saying that he was going to come in and fix what's going on now under Biden. She was saying, stop giving this motherfucker money. They're killing us. But y'all are going way too goddamn far, driving around campuses with people's faces and names on them, getting on the Nextdoor app, telling people's addresses and saying that you're going to rape them and video it and put it on OnlyFans. The fuck? And what I'm going to say next, shut me down if you want to. Now I have nothing but respect for every community that's out there except for racists and TERFs and homophobes, etc. But my dear Jewish people, the tyrannical ones, and I want to be clear, the tyrannical ones, y'all are not the only people who have suffered. And when the rest of us are trying to have your back, and you want to play this oppression Olympics, and you want to threaten us because we got questions like, hey, shouldn't we be concerned about the citizens, the people who were just making dinner and are now blown to bits? Your comeback is you're going to suffer like my people suffered. The fuck? And then the transactional activist. Where's Black Lives Matter? First of all, Black people, nor our organizations are a monolith. Would y'all fucking quit? You understood that the NAACP, CORE, SNCC, SCLC all existed when King and Malcolm were alive. Why the fuck are you so stuck on one organization that's geared towards one thing? And Black people are standing behind you. But we can't hop on a plane and go over there and fight the war for you. Hell, I put up a video yesterday saying, how can we help you? 0 comments. But as I'm updating with the truth, I've had to delete 300 comments today. 300. Not thank you for telling the truth. How dare you? I'll fuck you up. I'll find out where you live. You need to die. The fuck? The fuck? If y'all can understand why Ukrainians need to be saved, but you can't understand why Palestinians should be able to protect themselves, your issue isn't with war. Your issue isn't with oppression. Your issue is racism. All right. Let's talk about Trump and Forbes while I decrease my body temperature real quick.
Remember when I told you about Trump going off on Forbes and just basically saying they're a trash magazine and they're terrible people? They responded, and this is absolutely epic. This is from Omar Rivero. Breaking: Republican candidate Donald Trump gets destroyed by devastating response from Forbes magazine's senior editor after Trump demanded an apology from the Forbes editor after Forbes booted Trump from the 400 list of the wealthiest Americans. It all started when Trump posted on Truth Social, "I hereby demand a full apology from the family." And their third-rate psycho writer Dan Alexander for the many false and libelous articles they have written about me, and for the cooperation they have given the racist and incompetent AG of New York. Unfortunately for Trump, Forbes editor Dan Alexander stood strong and gave Trump a blistering response, telling Trump, "Hey Donald, if you want to point out a single fact in any of the articles I've published about you, or in the book I wrote about you, feel free to do so. In the meantime, I'm going to keep reporting on you and carefully fact-checking every word that I publish. Oh, God. Adding insult to injury for Trump, Forbes also issued an official response to Trump as a publication declaring, removed from the Forbes 400, Trump responded as he always has by lying about his net worth and saying he should be higher on the list. We take extraordinary care in valuing his fortune and our ownership, which does not include China's wealth fund, plays no role in that effort. Twice a year, we publish a detailed breakdown of our work, offering a far more accurate portrayal of Trump's personal balance sheet than the fictitious documents that the Trump Organization has created over the years. Oh my God, that is scathing. And if you don't think that that will be added into evidence at some point, yup. So please do me a favor and hit that little plus sign right there and hit that heart right there to thank Forbes and its senior editor, Dan Alexander, for setting Trump straight. Fucking day.
Well, at least he's kind of sort of keeping to the new gag order. He can't intimidate anyone in the courtroom anymore, so he's trying to intimidate those that he thinks can prove his innocence. Because in his mind, if he made it into Forbes again, the fraud case can't be a fraud case. He can't be guilty. If only that's how things work. And for shits and giggles, you know how everybody keeps calling, Biden the head of the Biden crime family while also saying that he's senile. But I think they've forgotten just how long Biden has been in politics. Take a look.
Are you tired of hearing this about Joe Biden?
Have been busy in the House Oversight Committee this year. I promised you we would investigate the Biden crime family.
So we're totally investigating the Biden crime family. But in all seriousness, what you're telling me is this guy who's been in politics since the 70s, you've only now just discovered is running a crime family? Maybe it has more to do with the fact that he's president and it triggers the crap out of you. Oh, and also make up your mind already. Is Joe Biden incompetent and senile, or is he this super intelligent guy running this whole international crime family?
Yeah, GOP logic makes about as much sense as cisgendered, straight, red pill male logic. Because I'm like, if he was this big crime boss, why would he have chosen to be Barack Obama's vice president? Because Barack was not going to let anybody do anything crazy in his administration. And he wouldn't have listened to Barack when Barack told him to wait a little bit because he wasn't quite ready to be president. He would have just jumped at the chance. Because you might as well keep climbing up the trajectory. I digress. Going from talking about 45 to 46 to the person who believes that they're going to be 47. Lord, honey, the closest he gonna get to 47 is the age 47. God willing. Are you willing? Ron DeSantis. Now, Ron DeSantis' campaign has stated that their third quarter fundraising total was $15 million. He believes that amount should silence his naysayers. He continues to proclaim himself to be sworn in as the 47th president. Now, the cash on hand for the campaign is $5 million. I'm going to break that down for you in just a second. And the cash on hand, that just means what can be used for the primary. The remaining $10 million must go towards the general election. And for him to make it into the general election, he has to surpass Trump in order to get there. Now, DeSantis has been, while he's been out campaigning, he's been publicly questioning why Trump is fundraising and where the fundraising money is actually going. He has insinuated multiple times that the funds are going to pay for attorneys. Now, Trump's campaign reportedly, now I got to say reportedly because we just found out how much he likes to lie about the numbers. Okay, I guess that's where Santos learned it from, but I digress. He has raised in the third quarter 7 times what DeSantis has. And DeSantis, money-wise, is historically behind previous candidates of recent times at this stage in the election game. Now, he has been, quote, testing the legalities of the use of a super PAC. Now, keep in mind that his super PAC is the Never Back Down super PAC, and it has been paying for events and other things that are typically funded by the campaigns, though he is really teetering that line. Ooh, excuse me. Now, we know that the Iowa caucus is approaching, and he is now flying staffers from Tallahassee to Iowa in support of the caucus. Now, he's putting a lot of energy into this caucus, but the last 4, the people who quote unquote won, 3 didn't become the candidate. So, and Trump never won the Iowa. I don't even think he's shown up to one, but now, the DeSantis campaign did send a letter to the Republican National Convention requesting that the threshold be raised for the next debate. The next debate is scheduled for November 8th. Now, the threshold that they want increased is the polling threshold. And the increase on the threshold would hopefully decrease the number of people on the stage for the next debate. And we know DeSantis does not do well with a bunch of people. But here's the thing. If you want to be the leader of the free world, you're going to have to get used to that. How are you going to go to all of these events as a world leader with all the other world leaders if you need such a small honey child? Now, to be fair, the field will need to narrow for any of the current GOP candidates to oust Trump. And keep in mind, the DeSantis campaign has been spending absorbent amounts of money. I would like to, well, I mean, he did pass, just like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, not to talk about. We don't talk about finances, so we don't know what they're spending money on, but they're spending a lot of money. And I'm like, maybe it's where I live, but I'm not seeing a lot of commercials. He hasn't been to my little Commonwealth to campaign. I don't know where the money is going. I don't know. Maybe it's for that contour and his brow arches. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. But we have more news coming from the As the Capitol Turns spinoff, Menendez Manor. Yeah, it's that I don't know why people choose to text me while I'm on the air. So, Bob Menendez has new charges. And he's being charged with being an unregistered foreign agent to Egypt. And according to official paperwork, it says that he's been accused of providing sensitive United States government information and took several steps that secretly aided the Egyptian government. And this is claimed to be linked to military sales. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. According to the feds, there is photographic evidence to back up the allegations. Menendez did give a statement, and it is, and I quote, "Piling new charge upon new charge does not make the allegations true. It is an attempt to wear someone down, and I will not succumb to this tactic." Bro, you're guilty. Like you can say all you want. You can posture all day long. You can posture till the day is done. All right. I knew a dude that anytime he was out in public, actually 2 dudes, and other men were around, they would like posture, like to keep the, and I'm like, these guys aren't paying you any attention. But if they got up and you ain't gonna bust a grape, you're gonna shit yourself. Posturing, it's good for your psyche, but it don't do nothing to let everybody else know you're scared. Okay, you skirt because you're guilty. Okay, your children can't even like fervently stand behind you. They yeah, we have some spinoffs to As the Capitol Turns. So we have As the Capitol Turns, the race to Speaker Mountain, then of course As the Capitol Turns, and then Menendez Manor. Now, once this ethics committee report drops, then we'll have the Gates Motel. See what I did there? So yeah. Real quick, just want to remind you to check out the links in the description of this video. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, audio only, it's always less than 10 minutes on Spotify. Why haven't you? Why have you not? That is very anti-charge. And do not forget about the blog. Currently featured on the blog is installment number 2 from our contributing writer. You will know him as Royal Star over on TikTok, and who I generally sit down with on Sundays. So, yeah. One final thing, if you have children in school or know someone who has children in school and you are about diversity, especially in books and book fairs, meaning somebody spending their coin to bring those books home, pay attention to this video, please and thank you.
Did you know the Scholastic Book Fair just made a button to get rid of all the books with black characters? Hi, I'm Tony, a professional writer that travels around the country helping kids at their local schools and libraries. And librarians like this one have said that this year the Scholastic Book Fair introduced a no diversity option. Book bans are at an all-time high across the country, and just having a black character is enough to get a book removed from collections permanently. Librarians have been posting online that when they make their book orders, they have to specifically opt in to receiving books with diverse characters. All the books considered diverse are put in the same category and marked as something that might cause controversy. Publishers need to take a stand, because if they yield to racist demand, authors of color that have stories to tell won't get published because people think they won't sell. And when all those stories cease to exist, what do you think that's going to do to the kids? Scholastic hasn't made a statement about this publicly, but let this be a reminder to support black stories.
Indubitably. And one final reminder before we get out of here. If you follow me over on TikTok, pinned to the top of my page is a lovely story giving a breakdown regarding what is affecting the Black community right now, from healthcare to the effects of COVID, etc., etc. And as always, thank you for joining me tonight. If you like tonight's episode, please share on your socials. Let people know that we're over here, dog. And bring a friend with you. Tomorrow, hopefully, there will not be a whole bunch of breaking news and we can just have some fun and some snacks. I'm going to have some snacks regardless. Be forewarned. I'm going to have some snacks. Yeah. Okay, I don't know where the boomer just went, because I don't hear his harness rattling around. Oh, there you are. Okay, just making sure. You was real quiet and you were behind me and then you weren't. All right. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Be good or good adjacent.